For more on the alleged plot, we're joined by Michigan Attorney General Dana Nessel. Good morning, Attorney General. How close were these suspects to actually carrying out this plot?
Well, they had all the means to do it. They had been in training exercises. We think they had the necessary equipment, artillery, explosives, things of that nature. And we thought the trainings had gone on long enough. And as I like to say, I'd rather have the weakest conspiracy case rather than the strongest homicide. And we were very concerned that it was moving towards action. But that being the case, this is not a weak case. These are very compelling and strong cases. And clearly, this was not just talk. These were many overt actions. And so we thought it was time to move in before anybody lost their lives.
And when was the governor made aware of this plot against her?
We've been consistently updating the governor as events occurred over the course of the last couple months. So she was aware of things that were happening. At times, she and her family had been moved around as a result of activities that, law enforcement was aware of.
Oh, that's interesting. As Jeff Pegues pointed out, there were 13 people charged overall, 6 federally, 7 by the state. And it wasn't just a plot against the governor. They attempted to identify home addresses of law enforcement officers and intended to instigate civil war. Do you expect more people could be charged in this case? Well,
let's just say this. The state and the federal authorities have been working together. We have a task force. And there are a lot of groups that we've been looking at and a lot of individuals we've been looking at. So when you ask if we can expect further charges, I don't know that they will be associated necessarily with this particular group, but certainly do I expect further charges related to this series of groups that seem to be operating together, not just in the state of Michigan, but across several states and many jurisdictions. Yes, I do.
Governor Whitmer accused President Trump of being complicit in fomenting extremism. The president said it was my Justice Department that brought charges. What's your take on this?
Well, I will say this. I've had the opportunity to work with federal authorities many times over the years, as a state prosecutor. And we've always enjoyed a good working relationship. So irrespective of who the president is, these federal law enforcement agencies and officers take their jobs very seriously. But that being the case, I will say it's very unhelpful when you have a group of these individuals armed to the teeth who storm our state capitol, hovering over our state senators and threatening them. And then the president calls them very good people who the governor should sit down and negotiate with. And it turns out, of course, these were the same people that ultimately were charged. So I can't imagine being a person in that position of authority, and I will say as the top law enforcement official in this state, I can't imagine seeing people who behave in that manner and then encouraging them and in fact indicating that our governor should negotiate with them. I think that's fundamentally unhelpful from a law enforcement perspective.
Do you think the president understands the power of his words when he speaks this way, that people may hear his words very differently than he intends them to be?
I don't know if he doesn't understand the power of his words or if he does very well understand the power of his words and he's trying to incite some sort of chaos or anarchy that, frankly, these groups thrive upon. But either way, I guess my message would be to him and to any other elected leaders that sort of traffic in this sort of rhetoric to understand the power of their words. And when they say these things, people not only listen, but they respond. And so some of the things that I've heard the president say over the course of the last several years, especially at the debate even last week, I would say I think that it's not just a dog whistle, but sometimes even a rallying cry for these types of organization and these types of individuals who are very bad actors that seek to harm others and damage, frankly, American society.
Attorney General Dana Nessel, thank you so much for being with us this morning. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.